Well, hello there, my beautiful friends. Welcome to Pay or Stay Away, the series here where we talk about the new makeup releases and discuss whether or not we want to spend our hard-earned coin on them. So if you are interested in hearing about the makeup releases for this week, then go ahead and keep on watching and let's jump right on in. So no lengthy introductions here. Let's go ahead and just hop right on in to the new makeup releases for this week. And let's get started with everybody's favorite bougie aunt, Pat Mcgrath, of course. This is her Celestial Divinity collection, which is essentially her answer to a holiday collection. And I like that this is a holiday collection that is basically themed around space and celestial things and like astrological things. I think it's really cute, and typically with holiday collections we see like cinnamon bear and gingerbread man and peppermint mocha, like themed items and palettes and whatnot. Too Faced, I'm talking to you. Of course, there's nothing wrong with that. It is very Christmassy and very holiday-ish to have those types of palettes and collections around this time of year, but I like that this is more of a unique approach to a holiday collection. It's really cool, and it's really on brand for Pat Mcgrath having a celestial themed collection. But this collection is available as of now, and it consists of the $78 Celestial Divinity palette, which is obviously $78 for 18 stellar space-inspired shades. Now we're gonna touch back on that in just a couple minutes here because I have many questions to why that price point is so low. I'm very sus about this. But she is also coming out with the $58 Celestial Divinity Luxe quads. There are 4 of those. And the $65 Skin Fetish Sublime Skin Highlighter. Now, we're gonna touch base real quick on the price point for the 18 pan eyeshadow palette. I am like genuinely confused, and like let me know if I'm the only one out here. I'm sure you guys already know that I am a conspiracy theorist by heart, so I'm probably just looking a little bit too far into this, but what is going on with that price point? Why is it so low? It's sketching me out. I don't know. Her palettes are usually $125, or is it $120? One of them is Natasha Denona's price tag, and one of them is Pat Mcgrath's price tag, and I can never remember how expensive each one is. It's a $5 difference, and my brain wants to forget that price tag entirely because I have bought 2 of Pat Mcgrath's palettes in the past, and my brain just wants to like wipe all memory of spending that much money on eyeshadow, so I can never remember. I digress. Her palettes usually have, I believe, 10 shadows in them. They're pretty large pans, but they're not like gigantic by any means. And they are $120 or $125. So why in the world is this palette $78 for 18 shades? So I'm out here being the crazy conspiracy theorist that I am, thinking that Pat Mcgrath used a different formula, a cheaper formula, something that wouldn't require her to put as much expensive ingredients into and whatnot. What is going on with this? But I saw the swatches on her Instagram and they looked almost identical to the types of swatches that we see from her regular palettes. So are these like pans the size of my fingernail? Are they the size of like a dime? I'm so genuinely confused, but you guys will have to let me know in the comments below if you know. Is this the same formula? Is this a different formula? Did she use a cheaper ingredient list in this formula to be able to make it $78 for 18 shades when her other palettes are like astronomically more expensive for way less eyeshadows? I'm so confused. Like I said, I'm probably looking way too far into this, but you know me, my conspiracy brain likes to twist things up a little bit. And the thing that's propelling my confusion here is the $58 Celestial Divinity Luxe quads that are in the same collection where you get 4 eyeshadows for $58, but in the other palette you get 18 eyeshadows for $78? What is going on here? Pat Mcgrath, what's going on? But enough conspiracy talk here. Let's talk about those beautiful Celestial Divinity Luxe quads. I had 2 of those in my cart, ready to purchase them. I had all my information filled out on the website, had my address, had my payment options set up. I was just about to press place order, and then something just reminded me, like the voice of reason just popped into my head and said, girl, stop what you're doing, back up, put the phone down, and think about it for a second. And I remembered how I actually own 2 of her quads. I own the really pretty rose gold, kind of pinky, rosy shadow quad, if you will. Makes no sense. And the more kind of golden, warm kind of shadow quad. I own both of those. Obviously, I can't remember the names of them off the top of my head, but I own those. And they're absolutely stunning. Don't get me wrong, but for some reason, I never use them. I did when I first got them. I used them like probably for about a month or so, and I did really enjoy them, but I really have not reached for them since I originally purchased them, and those were $58 a pop. I got 2 of them, so do the math. It's very expensive for 8 eyeshadows. So something just made me put my phone down, made me walk away, made me say, don't place the order right now. So the 2 that I had in my cart were Risque Rose and Fleur Fantasia, which Risque Rose is that beautiful like berry and deep chocolate brown type of quad, which is like so up my alley. It is so glam and kind of vampy and beautiful. And Fleur Fantasia is that beautiful lavender and peach combo, which I love that combination of colors together. I've never really seen that combination of colors together in the way that it is in this quad. And they're both absolutely stunning, and I do think that I would use them, but the problem is I know based on the 2 that I bought before, I wouldn't actually use them in the long run. I wouldn't really reach for them. I would just forget about them because I legitimately forgot that I had purchased the other 2, and those were very expensive $58 quads. You're not supposed to forget that you purchased 2 $58 quads. Those are supposed to be like special items that you use all the time, because that's why you bought it. That's why you spent $58 for 4 eyeshadows, right? I guess not. I guess I totally forgot about them, which I'm kind of embarrassed to say, but I don't know. Something told me, the voice of reason beamed down into my head and said, do not purchase those, halt, like pump the brakes, you don't need it, you don't even reach for the 2 that you have. And I'm glad that the voice of reason finally came to me and that I actually listened, because I think it may have saved my butt from spending a whole lot of money on 8 eyeshadows. So for right now, I'm gonna have to say no, be good, put my wallet away. But maybe sometime in the future, if these ever go on sale, Fleur Fantasia or Risque Rose will be mine, even though I may not reach for it very often and just admire it from a distance. But jumping into the next makeup release, we have the new Weightless Veil Blushers from Wayne Goss. Every time I hear the word blusher, I know it's like a Brit thing, like a UK thing that they say blusher, but every time that I hear that, I always think of Wayne Goss because he was the very first person that I heard say that. I thought it was so cute, he's so charming, and every time I hear the word blusher, I just think of him. But these, like I said, are the new Weightless Veil Blushers. Now these are a blush palette, so one side of the blush palette is obviously the blush, which is matte, and the other side is a kind of sheeny, not sparkly, but very radiant and kind of lit from within type of highlight that is designed to be worn either separately alone, or they can be mixed together to basically create your own kind of luminous blush, if you will. I watched his video on it and he explained how you can mix them together, and because the blush doesn't have any glitter or any really kind of standoutish shimmers, if you will, it's going to mix really nicely with the blush and not emphasize any texture. That's the thing about this formula. He stressed like up and down and back and forth that this formula of highlight and blush will not show texture on your cheeks. And girl, that is like music to my ears. I'm sure it's music to a lot of people's ears who are into blush and into highlight, because that is a huge problem with anything shiny on your face. It is gonna highlight every single stinking pore that you have and show it off to the world like a beacon. You can pick the Wayne Goss blushers up from beautylish.com, which I don't know if Beautylish is the only retailer for Wayne Goss, but that's personally where I've seen him. That's where I've gotten all of my Wayne Goss products from, which I own like one brush from him, but I digress. I'm pretty sure he's only sold on Beautylish. God, I made myself sound so pathetic. Also, for some reason, every time that I've tried to say Wayne Goss, I say Wayne Gloss, so I've had to redo the last sentence like 3 different times because I kept saying Wayne Gloss. So the first shade is called Coral Rose, and this is a soft peachy pink with a beige champagne highlighter. Bright Poppy is the second shade, and it's a bright poppy pink with a goldeny kind of coppery highlight. Blush Peony, which is a medium petal pink and a cool iridescent pink highlight. And finally, Vivid Azalea, which is a vibrant magenta and a luminous white gold highlight. I love me a good white gold highlight any time of day. Just cover me in white gold highlight and I will be a very, very happy girl. I am extremely interested in these blushes. I'm I'm really, really interested in these. $45 is expensive, don't get me wrong, but I do like that you get a big like honkin' pan of blush and highlight. You get 2 different products, which he didn't even market this kind of blush palette, if you will, as being that. It's just basically described as a singular blusher. So if you're going into this wanting to purchase a Wayne Goss blusher, if you hear about it somewhere and you don't know that there's a highlighter kind of included, it's a nice addition. I really wasn't expecting there to be a highlighter as well when I first heard about these. It's like a little bonus product. But I really, really, really want to pick up the shade Coral Rose, which is that beautiful soft peachy pink with the beige champagne highlight. The swatches that I have seen of this blush is so beautiful, and that highlighter formula looks to die for. It looks so smooth and silky and buttery. And one thing that Wayne Goss talked about in his video was that he wanted to make sure that this type of formula and this blusher and highlight combo looked good on people with mature skin, not just people with young skin, but people with mature skin. Because if you're gonna go for a formula that doesn't emphasize texture and that isn't gonna show off your pores or any like fine lines or anything like that, you want to test it out on people who might have fine lines and might have pores. He said that he tested this on people over 40 and that it looked beautiful and didn't emphasize texture or fine lines, anything like that. And that is exactly the type of formula that I want to add into my collection. I don't really have that many non-shimmery and non-super bright shiny highlighters in my collection. I either have some really kind of dull satiny ones that I'm really not too keen on that were just included in like palettes and just somehow ended up into my collection, and then I have a bunch of glittery highlights because I went through a phase of just buying glittery highlights left and right, and I had my fun with them. I went through about a 1.5 year long phase of loving them, and I think I'm finally kind of over that hump. I think I actually want to go for a more lit from within yet still glossy kind of highlight now. I only own like 2 that I can think of that don't actually emphasize texture and that are glossy without being sparkly, and that are kind of satiny without being super dull as well. It's a very fine line that it rides, and I think that this would be the perfect addition to my collection because I don't really own any highlighters that are exactly like this formula. Unfortunately, I went to purchase it yesterday and it was sold out because I took my sweet time kind of thinking on it and deciding whether or not I wanted to spend the money on it, and by the time I made my decision, it was gone. I'm very sad about that. But that is okay. As soon as it comes back in stock, I'm going to be watching it like a hawk. And as soon as it comes back in stock, I'm going to make my move, swoop down, and pick up this beautiful blush palette. Because honestly, this little blush palette is too beautiful to not have in my collection. I feel like I say that about everything, but with this product, I really think that it's true. So I am just gonna kind of speed through the last 2 releases because the previous 2 I just basically rambled on and on about. So I'm sorry, but the next makeup release that I wanted to talk about is from Colourpop. Oh boy, not Colourpop again. And usually I'm not so annoyed with Colourpop, but okay, I'm annoyed today, all right, and we'll talk about it. This is the Taupe collection, and it's available now. It consists of the That's Taupe eyeshadow palette for 14 bucks. Haha, that's taupe. That's dope. Cool. Colourpop. Oh boy. The Snake Eyes Super Shock Duo for $10. Some lip products. You know I never talk about lip products here on my channel, at least not that often, because I don't really care too much about them, oddly enough. And the Super Shock highlighters for $8 each, the Soul Body Mini Rose Glow Oil for $10 each, or you can pick up the entire collection for $74. I'm frustrated, and I know this is like a very, very minuscule, basically non-existent thing to be picking a bone with over Colourpop here, but I am just really annoyed with them at this point because they are releasing the same exact things in my opinion. Now, certain colors might be kind of tweaked here and there. Obviously, they're going to change it up a little bit, but my god, haven't they come out with this palette like 3 times already? I'm pretty sure I own this exact palette from them, the Butterfly palette, the second Butterfly palette. There was 2. I have both of them. They're adorable, but the more taupey Butterfly palette, is this not the same thing but way more washed out and way less inclusive to people? This is like for people with extremely pale skin and that's about it. I don't even think that I could get away with using this entire palette, and I am white as snow and I don't think I could get away with using this. Now I'm just going off of the promo photos, so maybe in person these tones are much more rich and saturated, but they look like somebody just took the saturation and turned it down all the way. It looks so like sepia. Like somebody took the sepia filter and just threw it over top of this palette and called it a day. This just looks so uninspired, and Colourpop used to be so innovative and so creative and came out with all of these fun colors and fun products, and now it's just like a rehash after rehash of the same things that we've seen. And I'm getting upset because Colourpop used to be a very inspirational brand. They were very kind of leader of the pack-ish, if you will. They really got people into color. They're called Colourpop, for God's sakes. This ain't it. This ain't it. I'm gonna have my little I'm mad at Colourpop party for one over here. If anyone wants to join me, feel free to do so. We can make cake together and be mad at Colourpop together. And we started out today's Pay or Stay Away with our expensive Auntie Pat Mcgrath, and we might as well finish this Pay or Stay Away with our other expensive makeup Auntie Natasha Denona. She is coming out with the Holiday 2020 collection, but honestly, I saw this collection and my brain did not think holiday. It looks very kind of run-of-the-mill, standard, like releasing something in mid-March type of situation. Not holiday. I digress. This collection consists of the I Need a Nude Glow highlighter for $42, and this puppy is described as a velvety smooth texture in a universal champagne tone, lightweight, long-wearing formula that leaves the skin radiant and glowing all day long. She is also coming out with the Mini Zendo eyeshadow palette for $25. This consists of 5 shades, and she describes this as a warm-toned palette that conceptualizes a mix of elements and ambiance, where wood meets metal and nature meets modern. I can't tell you how many times I just tried to say that like structure of words, that sentence of words there, and my tongue kept getting twisted and turned and all sorts of turned around. Auntie Natasha's always trying to throw me for a loop. But this collection does not scream holiday to me. Like I already said, I do not look at this and think holiday. It's just very meh. It's not bad, it's not great, it's just very meh. I feel like we've seen this from Natasha Denona. Now, I promise, I am not trying to be a negative Nancy here. I know I've like ranted about Colourpop for the last 5 minutes, and now I'm gonna rant a little about Natasha Denona. I'm not trying to be a negative Nancy here, I promise, but if we're spending our hard-earned cash and coin on these makeup products, we want them to be good, we want them to be interesting, and I feel like I've seen Natasha Denona do this exact collection before. That highlighter is gorgeous, don't get me wrong, but doesn't she already have this highlighter? Doesn't she already have like 3 versions of this highlighter? Honestly, the first thing that I think when I see this highlight is, okay, I've seen this from Natasha Denona before. I'm pretty sure that I own this from Natasha Denona in one of those large and in charge blush palettes that she came out with. Isn't this the same product that's in there? And either way, this looks very, very reminiscent to me to the Anastasia Beverly Hills Amrezy highlighter, which I own that. I own many indie brand dupes of that. So this whole champagne kind of universal type of highlight, I have a bunch of those. So I don't need that. I don't need any more Amrezy highlight knockoff dupes, whatever. I have like a million. And I feel like I already own this from Natasha Denona, so I'm a little confused, I'm not gonna lie. So the Mini Zendo palette is very pretty, don't get me wrong, but it looks very reminiscent of this puppy, which is the Mini Retro palette, and this came out pretty recently from her. I believe that this is supposed to look like the Valentine's Day palette. Maybe I'm totally wrong, but this is supposed to look like one of her larger palettes that she came out with, just like a mini version. Does this not look extremely similar to the Mini Zendo palette? I think it's just because, can't get it open. I think it's maybe just because of the salmon matte. It looks very reminiscent to the kind of salmony peachy matte that's in the Zendo palette, but I feel like this tone is also in the Zendo palette, and maybe even this one and this one. Am I making it up? Probably. I'm probably just being like overly critical here, but that's what we do in Pay or Stay Away. So I'm sorry, I'm not meaning to be a negative Nancy. I know that this week I am a bit more of a negative Nancy than usual, but I'm just kind of fed up with what's going on in the makeup world right now, because we have so many brands being announced and so many celebrities that are coming out with skincare and makeup lines, and it's just so much for my little pea brain to understand. So I'm just kind of rejecting all of it right now and like get away from me, too many makeup releases, let's just pump the brakes and come out with some actually interesting things, please. But let me know in the comments below if you agree with any of my opinions on this week's makeup releases. If you kind of feel the same way as me as far as all these makeup releases go, does it just seem like there's way too many being announced and way too many brands and like sub-brands of brands, like Morphe 2, Revolution 2, XX, whatever. It's just like going over my head, far beyond my comprehension. Like I said, pea brain over here. But let me know if you agree, because I feel very overwhelmed and it's just kind of like making me not want to really look at trend mood, although I do get inspired by Pat McGrath's launches and just, you know, more exciting things. Obviously the indie brands are always doing amazing things as well, but these bigger brands, pump the brakes, people, please. I get that we were in quarantine for a while, but you don't have to bombard us with makeup line after makeup line. But I promise next week I'll try to be a bit more positive and bring a bit more kind of positivity to the table here, because I know we can all use it. But if you enjoy talking about new makeup releases, if you enjoy talking about whether or not we're annoyed with brands, if you enjoy talking about what we love about brands, then go ahead and hit that subscribe button down below if you haven't already. And if you enjoyed today's video, go ahead and give me a big old thumbs up. It helps out the channel, it helps out tiny microscopic YouTubers like me. So if you choose to do so, then thank you so much. I greatly appreciate you. But with that being said, I hope you were having an absolutely amazing and beautiful day wherever you are, and I hope you have a wonderful week. Thank you so much for joining me here today, and I hope to see you next time. Bye!